Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Let me share my screen real quick. And today we're going to talk about some additional uses of two-factor authentication. So what I'm trying to do here, let me build it again, and I will show you what we're talking about. So I'm wanting to ask user for two-factor authentication code when they are editing the record, like submitting, saving it, okay? And this is how it works. We're just going to edit any of the records here. And when I click save, this is what happens. So it says that verification code, it sends both email to my email address and also sends text message. Let me find it in my email real quick and enter it. So if I enter something that is random, I click verify, it will tell me that code is incorrect. But okay, I'm copying from my email here. And here it is. So you can see that once we enter the correct code, it will just let us to proceed with saving the record. So let's see how this whole thing is implemented. So again, there is always more than one way to do something. I will show you one of the easiest ways, but you can build on top of this and adapt it to your own requirements. So let's take a look at the edit page. So you can see that there are two save buttons here, right? One of them is a standard button. And what we're doing here, we are hiding it. We applying CSS class display none and using important to override any possible conflict. So this is how we hide our button, right? And this is a new button. It says save new, that it's a custom button. And let's take a look at what it does. Okay, so there is no code in client before. In a server event, we could probably go to event editor. And okay, that's good. So let's take a look at what we're doing here. First of all, I just want to introduce something that can be useful. It's not in the manual yet, but we will add it. It's just pretty useful function that gets a hold of some two-factor authentication settings in your project. It's not in the manual yet, but you can use it. We are going to edit it. It's not going to change, so it will be in the manual. So what we're doing here, we are retrieving name of email field and phone number field. So then the next step, create random code. It's all digits, because usually 2FA code is all digits. That's another function that retrieves the data of the current user. And we craft get current user data. So we are actually retrieving the email address and phone number. Then we're crafting the code. That's our session code, is our code right here. That's how it looks. So your verification code is, and that's our number. That's the actual email I have received. So now I can actually print this what this function returns on the screen so you can see what it does. But anyway, we are checking if email have email to if enabled. It's just like you probably don't need to send them both. So like in your project, you're probably using one of them, but we are working this situation. So this covers the situation when we let the user decide what kind of 2FA to use. And this scenario will cover both of them, except you probably don't want to send both, but it's okay. It just shows you an idea of how it's been done. So the craft the message. It's really simple, just a verification code. And then we retrieve the email address. It's in user data array, which we received here. And we use our runner mail function to send a simple email, right? And if they have SMS 2FA enabled, we're doing the same thing, but we use runner SMS function. It just makes sure that if you use, first of all, you need to enable two-factor authentication in your project. Otherwise, this function will not work. And you need to specify both SMTP server parameters to send the email and your SMS provider settings. So it's pretty straightforward that we just send in both email and text message in the server and in client after event. This is the more interesting part. Yeah, and I will show how we're doing the timeout thing. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to show you. Let me proceed to event editor screen because I think it's going to be a little easier to see. So custom buttons, save new button, client after event. So what we're doing here right now, we use our display popup function, but as one of the options, you do not necessarily need to display a page, like specifying the URL, right? What you can do, you can just specify HTML code, and that's our HTML code. The formatting is probably poor, but we're telling that we sent to this email address verification message, and SMS was sent to this phone number. And then we doing what? Security code, a few spaces, and then we want you to input the security code. Let me show you the page so it makes a little bit more sense if we can see both the code and the pop-up itself, right? So we can we click edit right here. We try to save it. Okay. So what is happening here? Okay, let me close it. Okay, I hope you can more or less see what we're talking about. So that's the part about email right here. It's part about SMS right here. And then there is an input box with ID sec code. That's important because we are going to retrieve it from there. What else? We display div, which is empty right now. And ID is v timer. This is where we output our timer. And we display And that's another one for the message, if we have one. So what we do here, again, if you enter something that is not correct, boom, wrong code. That's our message right below the timer. So how timer is implemented? After create is a function of display popup. We can specify what we're doing after. And what we do, we using set interval as a standard JavaScript function that is executed depending on how we specify it, like as often as we wanted to be executed. You see that timer ran out. Okay, so what we're doing here, initial value of the timer, 100 seconds. Set interval accepts first parameter is a function that we want to execute on timely fashion. And the second parameter is interval in milliseconds. So every second, we want to run this function. And what we do here, we decrease the value of t, which is our counter. And this is how we update. Let me do it again. This is how we update it with the remaining time. And if we down to 0 seconds, we clear timeout, which means we don't want to run it anymore. The argument is the saved ID that we received at the very first call of set interval function. So you probably remember, right? So in JavaScript, if you do something like window dot and variable name, it's a global variable, a global JavaScript variable that you can access from any JavaScript function on the page. Even if you have like a pop-up or something, or multiple different functions, this is sort of a global function that you can access from anywhere. So we need to save this interval ID. This is what our function returns. So because you may want to run a few different timers at the same time for different purposes, right? Like once every 5 seconds, you want to update the page with some data. You can do that using a set interval. And that's something you display in a pop-up with timer. That's a different timer. So you just need to remember which you need to save it, and you need to, like, because you can have more than one running at the same time at different time intervals, etc. So this is what we do when we're running out of time. We clear the timeout, so we just resetting the timer and we're closing our window. And before close is what is getting executed when we click close button manually. So let me show it to you again. The point is, so if our timer had ran for a while, like for say 10 seconds, and then we close it, we decided we don't want to, or for whatever reason, we close it. And if you do it again, you can see it starts with 100 again. This is because we cleared the timeout here. So I hope it makes sense. And you can pretty much use it almost as is in any of your project. So if you want to display some sort of pop-up after some sort of the action, or after login, or I don't know, like after record was saved or something. So if you want to display like this kind of disappearing pop-up, you can certainly do that.